So here we are back again for the next stage of Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord's developer blogs. Back in the day, developer blogs for Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord were my thing. I loved doing them. I loved bringing updates every time Tailwoods released new information, and it seems like we've come full circle because War Sales, the new expansion for Mount & Blade 2, is going to be incredible, and they have started releasing their developer blogs already. War Sales is going to be the next era of Bannerlord, adding in naval combat, naval warfare, an entirely new faction of the Nords, and my oh my oh my, there is so much more coming. Each of the factions that we already know, from the Khuzaits to the Aserai, from the Valandians to the Nords, they are all going to be getting their own units, new skills and buffs. There will be specific perks that are just used for this naval combat, may it be navigation or being able to get more troops in your ships, and there will be custom ship designs and of course upgrades you can do along this way. They've actually shown off some of the new stuff in terms of the map in the newest developer blog, so that's what I'm going to bring with you today. I'm going to take you behind the scenes for the world map and the expansion and how the land has been reshaped and the sea has been introduced in a big way. From the flow of ship movement to the tactics of naval blockades and the stormy hazards that test every voyage across Calradia's water. Now of course adding in a new expansion means there's going to be a lot more on its way in terms of land, and as you might have noticed, the new faction coming in is called the Nords, which means we are going north. That's where most of the new map is going to be. Added onto the Sturgian lands, if we can have a look here, you can see the Sturgian Revel and of course Usakol Castle is down in the south now. So we're going so much further north, adding in not just new lands but a whole new stretch of water. And I think this is where most of the battles are going to be, because you see Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord, its map of Calradia at this point in time is vastly based on land. There are bits of rivers and bits of sea, there are crossings that you can use that will be implemented within this update, but more importantly, this is where we're going to find most of the new content north of the map. The world map, these are divided into a three-part editions. This starts with a new rugged long strip of the south-facing coastline, the Nordvjorg proper. Passing through this terrain often means crossing rocky mountains and pushing through valleys filled with dense forests, not to mention the icy cold winters. And we can see this long stretch of land. This is going to be our main majority area. We've got a new city called Throndeleg. We've also got Gretas Fjord, and of course some extra castles dotted around. If we zoomed in, there would be a lot more fiefs and things like that dotted around as well, and a new icon. You can see the anchor, meaning ports, where this is going to be where you can train up troops, get sea or marine troops to help you on your vessels, and purchase these vessels as well. Not just that, but setting sail, making sure that you're loading up your cargo if you want to be a trader, or loading up your troops if you want to go and invade at these select cities. You can then set sail down south in this case. To the west of Norvig, across the sea, there is a recently colonized island of Bineland, the Land of Bones. This refers to either the walrus ivy that drew the original settlers there, or the remains after they left along its desolate shores. And actually we can see a zoomed out version of the map here. You can see we still have that Sturgeon area of Usakol Castle and Revel just down on the right hand side this time, and if we looked at the previous map you can actually see that that is still there. This is going to be far off into the west as a standalone island, and I'm going to guess a very good place to set up camp, to set up your base and be able to actually attack the Sturgeon territory from this area. So the Nordic faction look to be a black and orange kind of color scheme, which is cool. I mean, it's trying to separate themselves from the Sturgeons a little bit. They are going to be very similar cultures, use quite a few similar things in terms of weapons and armor, and perhaps even the troops themselves we might see some crossover, but it's going to be a given anyway, because either you're going to play as these Nords and you're going to invade into the mainland of Calradia, and as you go you want to recruit more troops, and the first troops you come across will be Sturgians, or if the AI are playing them, they will do the same. They will be recruiting Sturgeon troops into their ranks, as you might expect. In the east of Nordvig though, you might find yourself wandering into the Juni River area, where mysterious burial pits left by some long forgotten people lie scattered along the riverbanks. The river runs south, eventually reaching Crusade lands, allowing Nords to raid and trade along the shores and lakes. So this is a nice little new thing. They're adding in the new riverways to implement into this expansion as well. So you're not just going to be able to use the ships and fight in these open ocean areas, but you're going to be able to invade other lands, and we can see that here. The Nords have already started invading Crusade territory. We've got Hargard, we've got Agling Castle, we've got Huga Castle, we've got Uxhorn Castle. These are all areas within Crusade territory that are being captured, and of course being able to land on the land. We can see as well Balgard on this extra map is actually a dock area as well, which is very useful, being able to trade and get new ships. You can also see in the next screenshot that these docks have been put into already standing cities like Legata, something that is near a river now and of course has its own dock and port. Adapting Calradia for naval travel meant more than opening up the seas. They've reshaped the very veins of the continent. Certain rivers have been widened to support inland navigation, allowing ships to reach far beyond the open sea, whilst bridges have been reconsidered to maintain vital overland routes. So they are changing using the map itself that they originally put in. But let's talk a little bit about those towns. How do these work and how will you be able to use them? Several towns have also been relocated closer to the water, weaving them into the expanding maritime trade network. For settlements now hugging rivers, coasts, and danger sails closer, rival ports are now just voyages away. To meet this new maritime threat, both parties and armies can now travel by water, gaining access to naval movement and combat. Armies in particular are reconstructed into fleets once they set sail, retaining much of their land-based functions, though with some changes and of course limitations. If you actually have ships and fleets, they will play a major role in supporting things like sieging coastal settlements, not necessarily by storming the towns, but by enforcing naval blockades, cutting off reinforcements, trade, and of course escape. When a force besieges a coastal settlement and has ships available, the blockade is automatically formed once the siege camp is established. And we can actually see a little bit of a look into the menu. In the top, we can see it says siege and the numbers of our troops, and zoomed in there, we can see how many naval vessels are on each side. You can still request parleys, break out from the gate, but now you can break out from the port or sally out from the port and use them as an extra dynamic. Maintaining a blockade introduces new risks and decisions. Enemy naval parties may attempt to aid the defenders. The besieging players may then choose to engage in naval battles or just withdraw. Victory keeps the blockade intact. Defeat lifts both the blockade and the siege. Withdrawing preserves the land siege but allows the enemies to reinforce the town by water. The player can also attempt to reinforce a besieged town from the water, either by breaking through the blockade at the cost of some troops or by attacking the fleet directly to lift it. Likewise, if trapped inside, you may actually do a costly breakout and sally straight for the enemy ships. But let's talk a little bit about these ships. I think this is what most people are looking for, what most people want to see. This is the first screenshot we get at actual ship building. Your naval journey begins at any town with access to the sea or river. From these ports, you can purchase or sell ships, repair and upgrade them, all through the right price of denars. Ships can also be given to your clan, either through the port, which requires a few days and a small escort of troops for delivery, or instantly by speaking to a clan member directly, where you can also take command of any ships they currently control. And here we have our ship management scene. We can rename the ships. We can see all of their stats, from maneuverability, battle speed, seaworthiness, if they've got a hold, or their ore count. This essentially will mean how many people you can get on the ship to help push this thing along. You can repair your ships here. You can send your ships to the clan. Maybe you want an NPC to control them, or just sell them. On the left hand side, we can see upgrades, whether it's from the hull, the bow, the deck, or the sails, even upgrading the oars as well. And at the top in the middle, you can see the party, how many ships you have, and of course the names of these ships and how many upgrades they have. You can see sails are level 2, so we can expect some sort of progression system through that as well. But once you have your ships ready, you can set sail in any direction across the waters, then return to any town with naval access or disembark any suitable landing areas, though some coastlines such as sharp cliffs and rugged shores are not accessible. This is going to be very important, because if you are being attacked on land, maybe somewhere's being besieged by an enemy, and you need to get reinforcements there, but the only way is by sea. You need to make sure that there are sufficient naval landing areas in order to get your men in there in time. After landing, you might find yourselves busy raiding and sieging enemy settlements, eventually wandering far away from your ships. So to set sail again, you can either head back to your anchored ships or make for the nearest coastal town and summon your ships to meet you there, I'm assuming with some sort of waiting time. Now, the actual sailing is going to depend on a range of factors, from ship design to shifting winds. A party's base speed is determined by the ship it commands, their hull type, and any upgrades they have. Ships with shallow drafts, like the Nordic longships, gain a speed bonus in coastal waters but are slower in open seas. So you're going to have to pay attention to which ships you decide to get, whether you want to go landing through rivers or you want to actually guard the more open areas, whether you want bigger hulls, bigger ships, and get some ramming speed in there as well. There is a full flow map in the scene editor, which you can't see whilst you're playing, but this is essentially showing the tides and of course the wind. So you're going to be able to use that to advantage, whether you want to catch up with enemy ship or get somewhere a little bit faster. Sailing downstream along a river is going to be noticeably faster than going upstream, and not all rivers have the same flow strength. The seas too have defined flows. These do not shift over time and are set through the flow map that influences the movement speed. But let's talk a little bit about attrition, how long you can stay at sea, and the new addition of storms in the open water. Of course, life at sea will wear down even the sturdiest of hulls. Ships take gradual damage while navigating the open sea, and when under harsh weather conditions, this damage is influenced by weather strength, ship size, and vessels' innate seaworthiness. There will be wind effects that are further intensified when sailing through storms. These are dynamic weather events that can move across open seas with various degrees of strengths and sizes, all the way up to hurricanes. They can form at open sea, then continue to grow, or can just dissipate when crossing land terrain. You can actually travel through storms if you have better ships, but if you are weaker, you're going to have to avoid these things, because they will crumple, damage you, and maybe even kill the men at sea. These are all things that you're going to have to take into account when using ship combat and traveling through the Navy in war sails. But there's plenty more to come, so make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to see more information about Bannerlord's new expansion. But let me know what you think down down in the comments. Is this something that you're excited to see, or are you still holding out speculation for what's coming in the next expansion? But until then, I will see you in the next one.